Hello everybody, Masha here. Over a month ago now, I shared with you this photo, well, two photos, where I talked about receiving these three handmade decks by Marco Benedetti back in July it was. I have by now reviewed the bottom two tarot decks from that package, with the first one being the most charming Milanese Tarot di Bordoni, and the other one being the storybook like Minchiate Salesio. This is a Genovese Minchiate Tarot deck. And in this video, I will be sharing with you the third deck from that same package, the delightfully joyful tarot that was very hard for me to keep secret from you before its official release by Marco Benedetti only last week. Being both a lover of Swiss Marseille tarots and pink color, but also a massive fan of Marco Benedetti's masterful work when it comes to handcrafted historic tarot decks, I am very excited about sharing with you this newest treasure, this newest offering from Marco Benedetti in this François Gassmann Swiss Tarot de Marseille, which I lovingly have already named the Pink Gassmann due to the beautiful pink bags that Marco Benedetti created for his edition, for his version of this 19th century Swiss Marseille tarot. As you have noticed, I have already removed the wrapper that this deck came in, but here it is for those of you who love your card wrappers, and this one features the cards from the Spanish Alouette playing cards, another historic deck that Marco perhaps will be releasing one day. But we are here today for this beauty, so let's do it. As most of Marco's handmade decks of the Marseille tradition, well, with the exception of Marco Jean Payen, this Gassmann tarot comes in two-part telescopic box. The top part depicts Le Bateleur, and here we read Gassmann Tarot Swiss, and Marco Benedetti telling us about Marco, the card maker of this reproduction, and the origin of this tarot being Switzerland. This box, handmade by Marco, also features these handy thumb holes making the sliding of the box, and then another two thumb holes here making the getting of the cards out of the box a pleasant experience for us. If you have Marco Benedetti's decks, you know that when Marco publishes museum decks, he always includes the names of those institutions where he gets the rights to reproduce the decks from, with the number limit usually included, the number of the decks that Marco has permission to print. Well, we don't see these details in this case, well, because Marco Benedetti is the owner of the original that he purchased last year at an auction. Here now we read, and to save your ears I will just translate from French into English, that this deck was restored and made by hand by Marco Benedetti in Rome this year. And here we also have a copyright, Marco's trademark of sorts. You probably also noticed that I omitted for a moment the year of 1890. Look, Marco made a typo with the dating of this deck, as it should be written here circa 1850 instead of 1890. The auctioneers dated this tarot to that mid-19th century, and it makes sense historically too, as it was published before François Gassmann's death in 1870. In Marco's defense, though, this is an innocent typo, as upon receiving this deck, his original deck last year, he actually mentioned the correct year of around 1850 in one of his Facebook posts. It's rather funny how I nicknamed this tarot my Pink Gassmann before I even noticed this error. And only last night, Marco told me a story about Gronchi Rosa, referring to a pink-colored stamp. I will leave you to read more on the story for yourself, and I will leave you the link to the Wikipedia page where I read a little bit about the story. But the gist is that Gronchi Rosa stamp, and Rosa means pink in Italian, which was printed in, the stamp was printed in 1961, and that pink stamp had an error on it. Hence, it was removed from circulation only to become a very rare and very valued collector's item. Why I found the story rather funny is because, yes, I mentioned I already called this tarot Pink Gassmann, because literally this is Gassmann Rosa, right? Rosa pink in Italian. Literally pink because of the pink bags, but also it can be linked to that story of the pink stamp symbolically. And since we are all about the pink here, let's chat about the bags. These bags are a joy for my eyes to look at. As I mentioned, I love pink, and both the color and the pattern Marco Benedetti selected for this Gassmann make my heart sing. While the fronts of the cards were immaculately preserved, Marco mentioned to me that the original bags were damaged, so he made a decision to create his own bags to match this Gassmann. But if you're curious about the original, so this is the original bag, also pink, but the pattern is different. Marco used the dotted pattern to create this bag. So we see the beautiful shade of pink with the dotted pattern, and he used the same pattern when creating the bags for his Minchiate Salesio Tarot. The Minchiate bags are the light blue color, and I love both, but of course these pink bags are the reason why I refer to this version of François Gassmann Tarot as my Pink Gassmann. And I do have a Labubu which matches the backs of these cards too. And don't you think this My Little Lychee Berry Labubu is a great mascot for the Pink Gassmann of mine? Sorry, I couldn't resist. But yes, let's move to the cards now. Let's talk about the paper. Marco's paper is really the best. His Tarot de Marseille decks are printed on the most delicious late art paper, which has a wonderful texture, and Marco is the only card maker I know who uses his paper in a way that the cards are vertically, the paper has vertical orientation, opposed to other card makers I know who do make cards by hand when they orient these lines horizontally. I think that kind of adds to the image and to the shuffling and to the experience and the uniqueness, of course, also of the Marseille decks, and this is Swiss Marseille decks produced by Marco Benedetti. And the bags, they do have different paper and you can see a little bit of micro texture here, but the backs are smooth. And not to say the fronts are not smooth, but because of the vertical orientation, it's just that special texture that the front of this late art paper have. And we will give these cards a shuffle at the end of the video, but of course they have the cards from Marco have wonderful shuffle ability, and they are very pleasant to touch. Now, looking at the full card, we see that the unique feature of this tarot is an inclusion of the brown color, which gives the cards, you'll see this colors throughout the deck, very warm feel in my view. The light blues are very attractive to me as well, and of course the detail of having black shoes with the heels depicted in the cards. Silly it may be, but I love cute shoes in my historic deck, so I find this detail very charming. And of course this tarot makes me very happy having the heels, the heely shoes, as part of the engravings in these cards. Is it a cat or a dog with red ears? I don't know, but I sure like the light blue color. And then we have the golden haired bateleur also wearing the beautiful heely shoes, and the darker blue details here are also nice and vibrant. And yeah, with Marco's decks, the colors are always beautiful. I haven't mentioned the size. The size is true to the original, well, I remember, and the cards measure almost 6.4 by 11.5 centimeters. So here we are with La Papesse. The eyes are big in this deck. This brown color dominates the gown of the Empress here, where the Emperor is wearing two color stockings, one of them being brown, fashion of the older times. And just look at the spread out wings of the eagle on his shield. With this being a Swiss tarot, we do see more elaborate details and embellishments throughout the cards, which includes clothing, the thrones of the characters, the objects on the cards. Love the Pope. Is he rolling his eyes or just looking up towards the sky? And what a pretty lover card. And yes, it is the lover, singular, I trust. What I adore about the Gassmann Tarot is that combination of the rustic, sharp at times feels of the wood blocks, like we see in that hair of the central lover, combined with the rounded, flowy, gentle details, such as the flowy lines of the flower crown this maiden is wearing. And the Cupid here is without a blindfold. The curtains above the charioteer are draped, and they're all indications of type 2 Tarot de Marseille, even though we are here with the absence of the initials on the charioteer's plate. So yes, very unique browns, beautiful light blues, rich darker blues, but also just look at the scarlet red color, and we saw that same color in the Pope card as well. The Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, La Force. So much thicker lines here we see in this card. And the Hangman, a unique hangman to the Swiss Tarot tradition. The hanged man here is depicted in profile and wearing a military uniform of sorts. Also, both of his feet are tied up, opposed to only one foot tied up in a Marseille Tarot. So again, all those details are characteristics of the Swiss tradition. Death with the red stenciled eye, unnamed. And the Temperance with a lovely flower in her forehead, which I absolutely love. And again, that combination of this warm cinnamon bark brown and scarlet red colors with the light blue wings, and even almost like a lime color there. The Devil and his imps are hairy here, another distinctive feature of the Swiss Tarot. And I must say, I am very partial to the hairy devils here, right? All three of them look like devils, and I find them adorable. The main one, of course, got a torch and the bat wings. And look at the eyes on the face. The Tower, and the star. The Gassmann star has such beautifully done here, which makes her rather very contemporary looking in my eyes. And these flower resembling stars are a sweet detail as well in these cards. The moon facing over to the left and as in profile. And the sun card features what I call Beethoven face. It just reminds me of Beethoven with this also, we have two youth here with their curly hair. I mean, such beautiful colors, but look, many of us by now know that Marco Benedetti is a master of color in his reproductions of historic tarots. Judgment and the World. I love the World card here, and the face of the lion is a big favorite of mine. Look, he's even smiling, just adorable, and that bull is very cute too as well. And now to the minor arcana, beginning with this beautiful rounded embellished chalice representing the Ace of Cups and the Gassmann Tarot. This chalice is of course significantly different from a Marseille Tarot chalice, Tarot de Marseille Ace of Cups. Very festive indeed. Talk about festive. Here we are with two trumpets and a crowned heart. For me, when reading with historic decks, non-illustrated decks, the card for love is a Two of Cups. And I love it, especially when it comes next to the Sun card in the love reading. And this card speaks love to me. two fishes looking at each other, two beautifully decorated chalices, two trumpets, and the heart. So perhaps we are here even with declaration or announcement of love. Or in Swiss decks, I also see the trumpets, maybe even signifying a wedding if we're talking about love readings. But let's move through other cups a little bit faster. They are all absolutely beautiful. They're a delight to look at. I love the rounded shape, the plumpiness of these cups. My goodness, look at all the ornamented details of the clothing of this page of cups. Flowing ribbon in his hair, very large, proportionally beautiful chalice that he is holding, the ties on his pants and the heely shoes, the knight, the queen, and the king of cups. With the batons, the big baton itself is a warm brown, and the closest I can describe to the brown of a cinnamon stick brown. Almost reminds me of a cinnamon stick actually. But also look at the abundance of the leafy and floral decorations. Maybe we're in here with the grapes here in this ace of batons. And even the rest of batons, they have beautiful rounded curvy details on their ends and are much wider if compared to more thinner batons of the French style Tarot de Marseille decks. Again, the combination of this light sky blues and the scarlet reds make this deck, as I mentioned in the Suit of Cups, very celebratory, very festive. A joy to look at. The cards. May I draw your attention to the beautiful booties with the heels? Spur, always love a spur for in a Cavalier cards. Beautiful detail of the Queen of Batons, the eyes, the directionality of the eyes is great in this deck. Shoes. And consistently with more decorations, more embellishments, more flows in the images of the pips. Even with the coins, we see more decorations here. The two of coins. So here we are with made by Gassmann Cartier of Geneva. In Geneva, Three of Coins. Four of Coins is quite an interesting card as well. So we hear again two trumpets here and a crown, and the initials here. We see here the monogram of two letters, J and R. I have read that this monogram may indicate the initials of one of Jack Rocky's members of Jack Rocky's card maker family. So JR. Jack Rocky's, perhaps even implying that Gassmann may have used the Rocky's woodblocks, but I haven't researched too deeply into it. I just remember having read it somewhere on a tarot history blog or Facebook group. Beautiful again, there's golden yellows with light blues, with the elements of red color, just stunning. And Swiss Marseille is not just a beautiful deck. Gassmann is not just a beautiful deck. Marco's reproduction of it is just stunning. The only other reproduction I have by Yves Renoir, which features those kind of light greens. And maybe once I'm reunited with my decks, I will do side by side. Yeah, the Queen of Coins. And the King, again, scarlet reds, dark, beautiful, but vibrant blues. And the last suit is the suit of swords, a strikingly beautiful ace of swords, if you ask me. Almost here with some berries as well, fruit of the labor, flowers on top of the crown. I mean, I just like this tarot so much. And as I mentioned to you, it was really hard for me to keep it secret from you for about probably 6 weeks or more. Again, we are treated here to the warm browns that we've seen throughout the deck, the feather in his head, a beautiful cape, heeled shoes, nicely decorated saddle of this cavalier, of this knight of swords, the queen with her piercing gaze over to the left, and rather gentle king of swords. And now it's time for me to give these cards a shuffle so we can delight ourselves in the sound they make when shuffled. Even knocking on the deck is such a joyful experience, and these cards, they make this wonderful light sound, almost kind of that sound of emptiness of sorts, right, because of how the cards are made. And these cards with the vertical orientation, they are just an absolute joy to handle. So while I'm shuffling the cards, you know Simon, the Hermit's Cave Simon, in his most recent video showcasing Marco's Mitelli tarot called Marco a Genius. And I can say I don't disagree. Marco Benedetti is a modern day courtier and a master of his craft. And you know how I gave this tarot a nickname, Pink Gassmann? My new nickname for Marco Benedetti is a humble genius. I will say no more, only that the second half of my nickname for Marco is genuinely true. Now let's lay a few cards out for us to see how they look next to each other. Yeah, time to lay a few. Let's do 2 rows of 3. I mean, they're just so pleasing to the eyes, these cards and the colors. And now you can see that for yourself. Well, friends, you already know what I think. Everything about this newest reproduction of a historic François Gassmann Tarot by Marco Benedetti is absolutely exquisite. The construction of the cards by Marco Benedetti is top-notch. The colors, as you would have seen now, are masterfully delightful. The aged, antique look of the cards is dreamy, and so is this vertically oriented laid art paper. The shuffling sound is music to my ears, and I'm sure will be music to the ears of any card person handling these cards. And this deck overall is an absolute joy to look at and to handle. handle. But do let me know, friends, what you think about this newest deck from Marco Benedetti. I know, Marco, you will be watching this video, so I wanted to say thank you for this newest beautiful offering. Thank you for your friendship and for mastery, making the historic treasures available to us card lovers, tarot collectors, and enthusiasts. Now, Marco Benedetti doesn't have a website, but I will leave the link to his Facebook page where you can write him a message, and his email as well, where you can contact him directly in the description box of my video below. But before I go, let me myself be not so humble for a moment, telling you that I called it. Now, the context for this is that last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, I did a live, we had a live on my channel with Marco Benedetti, where we talked about, where I shared with him which tarot decks I would like to see him producing, making available in 2025. So let me play the 45-second conversation or extract from our conversation for you.
Every day you say yes, do it. Take in mind that I cannot make it.
No, I tell you.
I make this, but I will not make another one. It's a deck that deserves to be in the first position because there are.
My number one. I would love to see the Bardoni as my number one. Priority number two, I would love to see the Handmade Minchiate, one of the two. So that's for me. Number three, yes, I would like to see a Tarot de Marseille, and I think it would be Bernardine Suzanne. And number four would be Gassmann. But for people in the chat, what do you think?
So yes, I myself now absolutely need this sweet Bernardine Suzanne Tarot de Marseille. And if you agree with me, let all ask Marco nicely to make it available for us. It's a beautiful, sweet, historic Marseille tarot deck. But you know what? If all goes to the plan, we can all ask Marco nicely about Bernardine Suzanne or about any deck that he has already made or he is planning to make available, as Marco and I, we are planning another live chat for next weekend, and I will be sharing with you details on Tuesday, next Tuesday, so keep your notifications on. But for those of you curious, the topic that Marco and I will be talking about next week is very interesting, and I will give you a hint. So your clue is this wrapper. Okay, so I will let you know the subject of the conversation, the title of the conversation on Tuesday when Marco and I schedule our live chat for next weekend. And then, of course, we hope you can join us. All right, that's all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this, my tarot friends. I am so very grateful for your time and for spending this time of your day with me. I'm sending much love to you all, and I hope to catch you live next weekend when Marco will be joining me here at Musings by Masha. Ciao for now.